Oh boy. All right, so I'm in Northeast right now off of 10th and Constitution, and today I'm actually headed out to a few stadiums to just check out a route for a later ride. So we're gonna see how today goes. I'm actually testing a few different things, so I don't even know if this video is gonna make it anywhere. So we'll start with the camera mount and the setup. So I moved the camera off the chest mount to the handlebars, so it's a slightly different perspective, and obviously the camera moves with the handlebars, so I'm just testing it out to see what it does. So we'll see how that plays out. The next thing is, instead of doing 4K, I'm shooting in 1080 right now, just because 4K is a real bitch, and honestly, most people who are watching like YouTube, like the highest you're really getting it is 1080. So it's like, I mean, I can do it, but it takes up so much space, it burns up so much battery, it takes so much time to edit, and then the uploading and the processing, it can be like a whole day of video processing. So it's just kind of frustrating, and I feel like really my foray into all of this, with its biking and talking and then doing video editing, trying to just figure it all out. So we'll see what happens. All right, so the first thing is the camera's mounted in a different position. We're shooting in a different resolution. We'll see how it plays out. Next, I am directionally declined, and which means I get lost all the time. And so I had to move my phone mount to my top bar, which you can't see, but it's kind of in the way of my left leg because it's not positioned directly over the top bar. It's like a little to the left, and that's kind of an issue. Like, it's got my pedal stroke all fucked up. So I don't know if I like that. I know that I don't like it. I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to deal with it. All right, let me boogie here. See what I'm saying? I gotta get going. My left leg is kicked out to the side almost. Got me feeling like a newbie. All right, so again, the plan right now is to get out to stadiums, or at least see what's kind of feasible. It's obviously a little bit easier to do it when there's much less traffic, so that's helpful. But just kind of getting familiar with the route, you know, it's just so easy to get lost in the city. And again, me being directionally declined, like, it's all but a guarantee that it's going to happen. So sometimes what I like to do is just come out and like ride, just kind of like, it's almost like a throwaway ride, well, maybe not throwaway, we'll call it like exploratory. So I'm just out exploring and trying to figure out the best way to get from point A to point B, and then from point B to point C. So ideally, I mean, this would be a whole day of adventures here, but it would be from home to a meeting spot, from the meeting spot, and then ride out to, so today what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ride out to Audi Field first, try to get a little bit of footage out there. We'll see how that plays out. And then from Audi Field, I'm gonna try to ride to RFK. And again, we'll see how that plays out. And then from RFK, I know I can get to Nats Park. It's just how much time I'm gonna have to be able to do it is the big question. And what it's actually feasible with other people. I mean, I could be out here playing around all day, but the idea would be like, okay, let's do like a stadium tour day, get like 3 or 4 people, maybe like a max of like 6, and just ride from one stadium to the next, stop, have a little bit of food, maybe bring some beverages, and maybe at like the last one, we would stop at like a beer garden or something like that, and then just pack it in. So that's the idea, but I got to figure it out first. It's going to take a little bit of reconnaissance. I sure hope that I'm talking loud enough so that some of the audio is picked up. I still have the wind pressure on the camera, which is helpful, but the camera, like I'm saying, is not close to my mouth, so it could be, it may not sound that great. We'll see. Woo! I'm getting all kinds of freaky here. Maybe one day I'll move out here. I always get mixed emotions because it's so goddamn cute. But I just don't know if it's for me. All right, so we're about 6 minutes away, 5 or 6 minutes away from the first stadium. So not a bad trek. It's super easy getting out here. I mean, from my place, I think it's about 25 minutes, but there's nothing ever interesting if you just start directly from my place. So I like to get it going once you cross over 8th Street. All right, here we go. Curious too, like how well the camera stability holds up, or the image stabilization with the camera being on the handlebars. We shall see. I feel like I recorded in 1080 before, and I just wasn't quite happy with it. But it's also like maybe I was shooting at like 30 frames a second. So I upped it here, so I'm doing 1080 at 120. We shall see. Oh man, I'm listening to Khalid's 2017 album, American Dream. I gotta say, it's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. I think I picked up, I know at least 3, maybe 5, like 5 tracks that I really like, which is always a win. It's always frustrating when I pick up like a new album and there's only like 1 or 2 good tracks on there. So I know where I am now. Okay, this is really interesting. Okay. All right, so I'm down by Nats Park right now, and it's saying I'm 4 minutes from Audi Field, so this is making me think, wow, this is really doable. And, okay, so then ideally we would do RFK, Audi Field, Nats Park, and then Capital One. Capital One is kind of optional. I mean, it's not a yard or field, you know, it's a stadium, but Cap One is kind of uneventful other than riding through Chinatown. Oh man. All right. So I'm always torn too with like my video editing. Like rides like this, I don't actually want to do any editing. I just want to post it. Like just rip it and post it. But the problem is that I talk to myself too much, and you're thinking like, okay, well, Sheldon, you're just yelling out loud right now. But I'm talking about like in between things, like when I get lost in thought or something, I just start talking about nothing, mumbling, singing mainly. But then also whenever there's good music on, I can't help myself. so cool for like coming down here and being by the water, and then just like a spot to like grab food and drinks. So yeah, I mean, you can't really see it that great, but we're really the stairs of Nats Park. Yeah. All right, let's see if I can trek across this busy ass fucking road. We'll make it safely to Audi Field. We'll see what happens. Such a beautiful stadium. I mean, it really is. Great size. Like, it's not too large. It's easy to get to. And then basically like every seat in the house is a great seat, which is pretty damn cool. Also forgot to mention that it's hot as hell out here today. I think it's in the low to mid 90s. Don't burn it up for sure. Exposure to the sun at an all-time high. Well, thank God for that natural protectant. Oh, perfect. Bike lane is chewed the fuck up. Tax dollars hard at work. Ain't nobody coming from this side. All right, I'm gonna shoot over here and see how close I can get to the stadium. Oh, I'm excited. Audi Field. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do is maybe try to ride around the stadium, and I might actually get some stills. We'll see what happens. Selling beer. Oh, they're doing yoga. Yeah, like there's stuff happening down here. This is great. Socially distanced, that's what I'm talking about. Huh. Interesting. Like, part of me wants to just take my camera off and just like hold it in my hand. I think that's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna see how it plays out. I'm gonna just do one lap around the stadium. It's beautiful over here. So RFK and Nats Park, I mean, it's not a straight shot. It's definitely not a straight shot, but there's a trail, and the trail takes you from RFK and will basically drop you off on M Street, and then you can ride M Street down to the stadium. Tiny little bit of shade. I'm gonna cruise through here. I mean, from here, it's just, yeah, straight to, okay. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not saying anything. I'm just realizing things and just saying words. So as far as just enjoyability goes, it's got to be from RFK to Nats Park to Audi Field, or like RFK to Audi Field and then Nats Park and then Cap 1. And this is definitely feasible. It's definitely feasible. Doable. All right, I'm gonna pause it for a second, and I'm gonna switch back to the chest mount, see what happens. This is gonna take me just a few minutes. You know what? I should do this in the shade for sure. Why would I not do this in the shade? Well, I remember that. I remember that feeling. So, yeah, I'm sorry about that. You called the right person because I know how you feel. When you left Diamond Mine? I'm like, Katie, I was devastated. Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, I mean there was definitely more time in between it than what you're referencing, but I can see why it would seem that way to you. Right. You're like, can you imagine if how you would have felt if I would have left Diamond Mine? Well, as a matter of fact, Katie, yes, I sure can. I can more than imagine. All I have to do is remember. It's ironic that you reached out to me about this, because my brother just called me, I think it was like 2 days ago, and he was upset and hurt that his boss is leaving, and apparently his boss taught him a lot of what he knows, and he was really looking forward to working with him as he grew in his role and in his career. But so it's this guy named Terry, and he had been working at this location for a few years in hopes that, like, basically he was working towards I think it was like a regional or district manager position or something like that. And apparently, you know how things happen, somebody else gets it, or there's not really a clear path showing how he might be able to do something like that. And excuse me, guys. Excuse me. And so he decided he's going to leave, and of course, you know, my brother was upset about that. And you know, so we just talked through it, and he's like, you know, I was really counting on this guy, and he's great, and he's taught me all this stuff, and you know, I could really, you know, it's like we're working on all this stuff together, and come to find out he's working on leaving. And I was like, yeah. I was like, well, that's happened to me a few times. I said the most recent one was with Scott, you know, and part of it is it's difficult because we create these, you know, these friendships or these relationships at work, you know, but it's still work. And so like it's just tough because like you didn't, you know, you're yeah. Yeah. Well, see, I think that's a tough spot to be in, you know, when you're like, on one hand, you're saying, well, you know, had I known, and the employee is always looking at it like, how could you not have known? Well, it's just tough, you know. It's not personal. I mean, sometimes it's personal and like, look, I can't stand working for you or working with you, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Now, I don't know what is going. Yeah, but I don't know. Whole parties. So, hey. Right. Well, they do now. Yeah, I mean, that's the way it was at, that's the way that it was at Diamond Mine too. I mean, our client services team until like, I mean, after a while, I mean, there's just nothing that you could do. You got a small team, you outgrow it. But like, yeah, I mean, sales is typically the most fickle, where they'll just be like, look, if they're not hitting their numbers or they don't like the compensation package, they'll be like, I'm out. Go sell some other shit. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely tough. I mean, there's just so many things. It's just a lot. But, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, that's a part of business too, is where sometimes, I mean, you know, companies think that whatever the decisions they make in the boardroom are truly the best decisions. And it's like, do you know anything about what's going on the ground? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's definitely a balance. That's for sure. Well, it's good that you continue to have that outlook, because it is. I mean, it's just, and it's not personal, it's just business. And that's, you know, it'll be much worse if she was like, I hate you, I hate everybody else, and I'm out. You'd be like, what? But I mean, it sounds to me like everything that she's saying is something it's not too far outside of what you kind of already either had suspected or had seen. Yeah. I'm driving, okay? Uh-huh. Oh. Yeah. You know, people get wild. There was definitely, I had an adjustment period after coming back from Florida, because, I mean, you know, everybody just drives so fast. Kind of wild. Like, everywhere you're going, people are driving 80, 90 miles an hour. It's like, holy shit. I mean, again, it's not impossible. I'd come down tomorrow if I wanted to. And I'm definitely starting to get I said I don't have anything going on. It just, I don't know. I've been, just kind of recalibrating over the last couple weeks. Definitely been getting a little stir crazy the last few days, but it's like there's just not a whole lot going on, so I just try to get out on my bike when I can. And yeah, so And the nice thing is it doesn't even... Go on. Uh-huh. How are you feeling? Hello? I can hear you. You said... Yes, and I said, how do you feel? Or did you just go and get like an assessment or something like that? Mm-hmm. That sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Yeah, that's I was gonna say, the thing about like the exercises and stretches and stuff, like you can give me a list of stuff that I need to do, but I really have to have somebody else doing that stuff with me. Like I don't know, I'm just not that accountable when it comes to the stretches. Like when I was going to see my physical therapist, she'd be like, all right, let's work on these like 3 things. And I'd be like, cool. The only time I did the stretches when I was in the office, like in her office. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret though. So part of the reason why I did that, and this is totally counterintuitive, is that she was like really cute, so I like seeing her a lot, and especially in the morning. And so like getting better was not necessarily my main priority. Now eventually I did get better, but I mean, there was just something about this cute blonde girl rubbing my feet in the mornings that I really liked, and I was like, you know what? I'll pay the I will pay the copay for this. Like, this is totally worth the copay. Oh man.